Badimo just dropped a bombshell with the epic update, because in this patch they revealed that the tank is getting a complete redesign. Now, as someone who's always loved heavy military vehicles in Roblox games, this immediately caught my attention. Back in Chapter 1 of Mad City, I was all about the armored personnel carrier, and later in Chapter 2, the Rhino tank became one of my favorite toys. So when Jailbreak announced that their tank was finally getting a much needed revamp, I came in with high expectations. Some of those expectations were met, others not so much, and today I'm going to break it all down for you. Let's start with what's most obvious, the design. This new tank is nothing like the old one. The body has been completely overhauled with a much larger and bulkier chassis, sharper angles, and a turret that looks like it was lifted straight from a modern battlefield. The old tank model was fine for its time, but it definitely felt outdated, blocky, under-detailed, and a little cartoonish. The revamp, though, is something else. It looks powerful, intimidating, and honestly fits right in with Jailbreak's steadily improving vehicle quality. One of the little details that instantly stood out is the addition of brake lights. I know it sounds small, but if you've been playing Jailbreak for a while, you'll understand how strange it always felt that $1 million military vehicle didn't even have basic brake lights. Now when you slow down, you get that satisfying red glow on the back, and it just feels like the tank is finally a finished product instead of something half-baked. The treads and suspension also look way better. The revamp gave them more texture and depth, and the wheels that drive the treads are properly modeled now. When you drive over uneven terrain, you can see the suspension doing its thing, which adds to the sense of weight and realism. The tank no longer feels like a floating block. It feels heavy, grounded, and imposing. And then there's the turret. The detail here is a massive step up. It's clearly inspired by real-world designs. People have compared it to the Russian T-90 or even the German Leopard series. And whether or not those inspirations were intentional, the end result is fantastic. The turret looks menacing, the barrel has proper size and weight to it, and the whole thing just screams military hardware. To me, that's a big deal, because a tank should look like a tank. It should make other players nervous when they see it rolling toward them, and the new design absolutely achieves that. Inside the tank, we now have an actual interior. If you switch into first-person view or pan the camera around, you'll see that it isn't just a hollow shell anymore. There's detail in the cabin, making it feel like a real armored vehicle instead of an empty box. It might not change the gameplay directly, but it adds immersion and polish, which is something Jailbreak has been steadily improving with each update. Another major design change is seating. The old tank could only carry 2 people, the driver and the passenger. The new tank, though, has 4 seats, a driver, a dedicated gunner, and 2 passenger slots. This transforms the tank into a squad vehicle. Instead of one player awkwardly trying to drive and fire the cannon at the same time, you can now divide the roles. The driver focuses on movement, while the gunner has full control of the turret, and the 2 extra seats mean your friends can hop in as well. It finally feels like the tank is meant for teamwork instead of being a solo gimmick. Now before I go further, if you're enjoying this breakdown, take a quick moment to subscribe to the channel and drop a like on this video. I put a lot of work into reviews like this, and it really helps me keep making more. Also, let me know in the comments what you think of the tank's redesign. Do you like the new look, or do you think it still needs work? I'd love to hear your thoughts and maybe even feature some of your feedback in a future video. Alright, with that said, let's move on to the performance side of things, because this is where the tank gets a little more complicated. For firepower, the tank is still packing a serious punch. The cannon fires explosive shells that do big splash damage, around 65 damage if you land a solid hit. That means 2 shells can wipe out a player, and even near misses will chunk them hard. The turret still rotates a full 360 degrees, and the elevation is generous enough to hit both ground targets and some airborne enemies. On paper, this makes the tank an absolute powerhouse, but there are caveats. First, the shells are not free. You have to buy ammo, and it's expensive. 10 shells cost 10,000 cash. That means every time you pull the trigger, you're essentially burning $1,000. If you're in a long fight or just messing around, that adds up fast. For $1 million vehicle, I think it's kind of stingy to charge players so much for ammo, especially when you compare it to how weapons work on other vehicles. In Mad City, for example, the Rhino tank didn't make you buy shells. You could just fire away. Here it feels like you're paying for every shot, which discourages casual use. The other issue is that the cannon isn't always easy to aim. Against stationary targets, it's devastating, but against fast-moving enemies, it can feel clunky. The shells don't travel instantly, so you have to lead your shots, and with the turret traverse being so twitchy, it's easy to overshoot your aim. Personally, I think the traverse speed could have been tuned a little slower to give it a smoother, more controlled feel. Right now it's almost too responsive, and while some players like that, I find it makes aiming harder. Durability is another mixed bag. You'd expect a tank to be incredibly tough, but in Jailbreak it's surprisingly easy to disable. The vehicle itself has a big health pool, sure, but the real problem is the driver. Even inside the tank, the driver can still be shot. You take reduced damage but not zero, and that means if enemies focus on you, they can kill you without ever destroying the tank. On top of that, cops can just run up, press eject, and suddenly you're standing outside your $1 million war machine, handcuffed before you can react. That makes the tank extremely vulnerable at close range. Because of this, the tank really only works at medium to long ranges. Up close, you're a sitting duck. Farther away, you can use the cannon effectively, but again, the aiming and ammo cost can hold you back. It's a frustrating balance because the tank feels powerful yet underwhelming at the same time. And then there's the handling. The tank is slow, really slow. It tops out at around 74 miles per hour, which in Jailbreak terms is crawling. Acceleration is decent, and the treads give it good off-road capability, but don't expect to win any races. It's a heavy, clunky machine, and you feel that weight in every turn. The suspension still clips into the terrain like the old tank did, which is disappointing, and the barrel has collision enabled. That means if you try to squeeze into tunnels or tight spaces, the cannon literally jams against the walls, and the tank freaks out. For a redesigned model, I wish these little issues had been cleaned up. So where does that leave us with value? The tank still costs $1 million, and that price hasn't changed. That's a huge investment, especially when you consider the ongoing ammo costs. Should you buy it? Honestly, it depends. If you love the design, if you're a collector, or if you just want to roll around feeling like a boss in an armored war machine, then yes, the tank is worth it. The new model is beautiful, the extra seats make it more versatile, and it's one of the most fun vehicles in the game when used in the right situations. But if you're purely performance focused, the answer is murkier. The tank is slow, it's vulnerable at close range, and it's expensive to operate. For most grind-focused players, there are better options for both speed and firepower. You'll get more utility from other $1 million vehicles that don't require constant spending on ammo. That being said, I do think the developers balanced it this way intentionally. If the tank was cheap to run, super fast, and invincible, it would completely break the game. By giving it flaws, high ammo cost, low speed, vulnerability at close range, they have kept it fun but not dominant. It's a showcase vehicle, something that feels epic without ruining the balance of Jailbreak. In my opinion, that makes the tank a situational purchase. It's not going to replace your daily driver, and it's not going to win you every fight. But when you roll it out in the right situation, with friends backing you up, it delivers some of the most unique and fun gameplay in the entire game. So, what do you think? Is the tank worth $1 million? Do you like the new design, or do you think it still has too many flaws? Drop a comment down below, and let's start a conversation. I'd love to hear your take on it. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends who play Jailbreak. It really helps me out, and it lets me keep making more deep dives like this one. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.